Sorry it's been so long between reviews, guys. Unfortunately, I came down with COVID, but I'm back and keen as ever to give you my first ever Focus Mitts review. What's up guys, Ash here from Fight Spirit Reviews, and today I'm going to be making my first ever Focus Mitts review, and I'm stoked to be presenting the lightweight, precision-based micro mitts from Fairtex. Now if you don't know who Fairtex are, there's a fair chance you've probably never stepped foot in a Muay Thai gym before. Fairtex as a brand is absolutely synonymous with the sport of Muay Thai. It was founded in Thailand, has deep roots to the sport of Muay Thai and combat sports in general. And to be honest, Fairtex really needs to be appreciated and basically thanked for bringing combat sports, MMA, Muay Thai, you name it, up to a higher level or to the level that it is today. It would be incredibly rare to walk into any Muay Thai gym in Australia, if not the world, and not see a pair of their boxing gloves or a boxing bag slapped with their renowned logo right across the front. So for my first venture into the world of Fairtex, I decided to go with the FMV15s, also known as the Micro Focus Mitts in black and gold. This awesome little pair also comes in black and red, and I got these from Shogun Martial Arts down in Sydney, so I'll leave the link in the description below, just in case any of you guys want to grab a pair. Now when it comes to focus pads or focus mitts, I'm a massive fan of micro mitts. Not only for their sizing, their shaping, their minimalist design, but for the fact that they focus on a boxer's accuracy, their speed, more evasive and defensive maneuvers, and building and developing long combinations. This pair in particular really stood out to me thanks to their blend of real boxing precision mitt, but also with Fairtex's looks, design and appeal. Typically when you see a mitt of this style, you'd obviously see it manufactured from say a Rival or Ultimatum or someone who's more of a proper boxing manufacturer. But Fairtex have really given me that added sense of Thai heritage and really blended their looks into this pad. But before I give my full review, let's dig a little bit deeper into Fairtex's craftsmanship and see if they really live up to their brand name. So first things first, you can probably tell right off the bat, just by looks, how ridiculously lightweight these little pads are. Now these pads came in at around 6 ounces or 170 grams a piece, and essentially that means in translation that you're gonna have absolutely no trouble holding these pads for round after round. On the flip side, however, such a lightweight does come with some compromise, which I'll get into a little later. Moving on to what really stood out to me to get these pads in the first place has got to be their unique aesthetics. To a normal customer, this design probably looks like any other you've seen before. To me, however, I see a really cool collaboration of traditional Muay Thai aesthetics placed on top of a really modern, precision-sized micro mitt. And what I mean by traditional Muay Thai styling is when you see a Muay Thai pad, it usually consists of a two-tone colorway. You've got a black target face with a big screen in the middle to basically tell you, hey, punch here, and then you've got your second color for around the side or around the back of the hand compartment. That sort of design, that sort of style is extremely reminiscent of a Thai-made brand such as Boon, Twins, or Fairtex. With this model in particular though, they've stated that it's black and gold. The secondary color that you can see here is more of a brushed gold. You can really sort of say from a distance that it's yellow. The screens, however, are done in a nice metallic gold with their traditional Fairtex logo, and if you weren't so sure, a made in Thailand logo. Moving on to the casing, these are actually my first pair of pads which house the very durable, in my opinion, microfiber synthetic leather, or Syntech leather as Fairtex calls it. Now, I've seen this material used from many other Muay Thai manufacturers. This isn't a secret ingredient for the company. I have seen other companies such as In-Fight Style, Danger Equipment for example, all use this kind of synthetic leather, and in my opinion, it's great. It really does, in my mind, do a fantastic job of repelling sweat and moisture. This type of microfiber leather is very smooth to touch. It's a little bit more stretchy and quite fine, quite thin, and it's, in my opinion, much higher grade than any PU casings that you see, which usually have more of a stiffer plastic feel to them, come off quite glossy, quite reflective, and honestly, they look quite cheap. Fairtex has also added some ventilation holes to the back of the hand compartment, but in my mind, it's going to have no issue for ventilation. It's got quite an open hand compartment, and it's not covered over the finger compartment of the mitts either, so it's going to be quite breathable. And if you sweat as much as I do, these things should dry out quite quickly if you leave them out in the open. And like other Muay Thai manufacturers, you usually see them using the one casing around the entirety of the mitt, whereas when you see more of a boxing specific manufacturer making more of a modern sized or basically a modern style mitt, they may use another inner lining to give it more of a premium feel or to give it something a little bit more unique. You might see mesh on the inside of the hand capsule for ventilation, or you might see something such as silk or satin just to give it more of that premium, that more expensive feel. However, I think Syntec leather is the best of both worlds. It's comfortable and it also has a really good ability at wicking away that sweat and moisture. Now the stitching and the lacing for the most part is really well done. I cannot see any obvious blunders or any obvious errors anywhere. In particular, they have paid attention to putting double stitching around the outside of the hand compartment, which is a huge plus. What I would have liked to have seen, however, is if they paid that same attention to the individual finger holes. When people try and rush to put on pads or take them off, rip them off when they have a bulky hand wrap, there is a chance with a single line of stitching that it can break quite easily. So if I were to see this again, it would have been really nice to see that double stitching placed right onto the ends of the fingers. Next, let's talk about an area of the pad where pad holders are probably going to either love it or hate it, and that is the wrist section. In terms of wrist section on these pads, there's basically none. No support, no padding, no real length, no wrist wrap, nothing. And in my point of view, that is a real winner. The lack of wrist padding in these mitts actually gives my hand and my wrist complete freedom to move around and basically complete any angle that I need. The only exception to this rule is when you do have a really good grip on these pads, it naturally angles the pad down into my wrist here. So if I'm trying to catch a really solid uppercut, it's actually it braces really well. And the lack of a wrist strap obviously gives away a little bit of security. So if you do have smaller hands or smaller wrists, make sure you give this pad a good grip. Otherwise you could have a high risk of losing it during a combo. Personally though, I'm not always the biggest fan of wrist straps. Sometimes I find they get in the way of a good hand compartment, trying to get my hand in and out. And also when you're sharing them, it can be pretty unhygienic with a wrist strap. Some people I see do use their mouths or their teeth to strap themselves in, and I just find that's a little nasty. Next, let's move on to a unique area of these mitts, which I find is, again, another real standout feature of these mitts, and that is the padding, or maybe the lack thereof. Now, normally when you see a focus mitt in the market, they're usually one of two styles. They're either completely flat, or they've got a curve from top to bottom. But I am starting to see a few more niche boxing specific brands bringing out pads that have more of a funnel shape, especially like this set here, where every corner of the pad essentially starts rounded and starts to divot into the center of the pad, creating a nice, basically ergonomic hand fit for the pad holder and finding a nice sweet spot for the boxer. At first I was a little hesitant with buying pads with this sort of funnel shape and feature, but after a few months of use, I think it's a welcome design to a pad of this size. I also think that the funnel shape actually adds to the strength and the integrity of the foam. The padding itself, for what it is, starts at about 30 millimeters from the outside and gradually increasing to the inside of the hand capsule. For what it is, however, I think Fairtex has done a great job of keeping the density nice and stiff on the punching side, as I said earlier, creating a really nice pop for the boxer, and it's nice and plush and soft on the pad holder side, so that way when they're catching, creates good feedback, the shock is minimized, and just makes an overall really ergonomic and comfy fit. While we're on that note, let's take a look at the hand fit and go over some of the little intricacies here, and basically why I think the hand fit is probably the best part of this mitt. This grip is truly complemented by the little palm padding you see here. It makes it so easy for me to grip around the outside of the palm pad with absolute ease, making it so easy for me to lock my hands into place and easily let go to take them off. And I think anyone with, say, a medium to large hand fit should be able to place these on and off with ease. However, just be careful if you do have quite a bulky hand wrap, it can work against you with getting them on and off, so just be careful there. Now, after a few months of use of these pads and pretty much a positive experience overall, a really good one actually, unfortunately there is a bit of an issue that we need to get out of the way. As you can see with this mitt, the leather casing is quite flush, sits really well against the foam and feels like it's stitched in rather nicely. Whereas this pad, unfortunately, after 2 or 3 sessions, the casing, as you can see, has started to pull away from the padding. Now, I've seen many mitts while working in the fight gear industry have this sort of issue early on, and most of the time it's because of quality control and not the user's wear and tear. And while I do believe this is a rare occurrence, it's something that Fairtex need to be mindful of just to ensure that no other customers are also experiencing this type of issue. Other than that small fault, however, functionally, I think these pads are an absolute standout for what they are. They don't try to do the best of everything, and they stick to being exactly what they're designed for. They are so light and they basically fit into any training bag. I have filled up my bags to the brim with jiu-jitsu gear, Muay Thai gear, and I still have space for these to cram into. On top of this, I really think the synthetic microfiber leather on a pad is a standout feature. Living in Queensland, Australia, especially within the summer months, it's reassuring to know that I'm going to have a pad that's going to be able to repel sweat and moisture. And when you sweat like I do, you really want to make sure that your pads, your gloves, etc. are made of very durable materials. And I think this is an absolute winner in the category of making sure that sweat and moisture does not kill your gear too quickly. Most importantly, the feedback that you get in these pads as a boxer and a pad holder is simply, it's outstanding. When you hit these pads correctly, the pop is unreal. It makes everyone in the gym want to stop what they're doing and watch you. And as a pad holder, it's still got enough give and plushness in it that it doesn't feel like you're absorbing the entire shot. And I think with a combination like that, a professional pad holder is going to absolutely adore this type of mitt. On the flip side of being great with feedback, they can also be a great teacher. If you do not hit these pads on the sweet spot, or if you have an inexperienced pad holder, you're going to learn very quickly how good you are at hitting pads or how bad you are. These mitts simply won't allow you to hide behind your power. As a boxer and as a pad holder, you're going to need to learn good timing and make sure that you have good accuracy. During my time of using these pads, I have never experienced any sort of pain as a boxer or as a pad holder, thankfully. Now, I was holding for people, say around 70 to 80 kilos. So if you are holding for someone with great power or a lot more weight, you must understand that a pad like this may not provide all the support and protection you need to absorb those big shots. So finally, just to finish up, let's talk a little bit about value. For 149 Aussie dollars, I do feel like these are sitting near the tipping point of their pricing. With my limited experience that I do have with micro mitts, obviously you're paying for a brand name here, you're paying for a product being made in Thailand, but I do have to assume you're probably going to be able to find a product near the same sort of quality, if not maybe a little bit better for the same sort of price. But all in all, with the little differences that these pads provide from Fairtex, I think you're absolutely going to love these pads if you love something that's nice and light, that has fantastic feedback, that can fit in almost any gym bag and just makes long, accurate, fast combinations just a really nice, beautiful thing to watch. And if that's what you're into, I've got to recommend these pads for you. Thank you guys so much for sticking with it and getting through my first ever Focus Mitts review. If you did like the video, leave a like, subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification bell. It means so much to me that you stuck through and are watching my content. I really appreciate it. And if you have a comment about this video or any others, make sure you leave a comment down below. Can't wait to see you all on the next one. Who knows what it's going to be next, maybe another set of boxing gloves. But until then, see you soon.